Welcome to week 3, and this is what you're going to do today. We're going to talk about functions. So functions are pretty much like numbers, like something you're going to work with in high-level math. So we're working with functions in algebra, we're working with functions in finite math, we're working with functions in high level like calculus, statistics, we're working with functions, okay? So it's very important that you understand what is a function. So what is a function? So I'm going to explain first what is a function, and I'm going to tell you a few different things about function. We're going to do different things with functions. So today we're going to just start with the basic. What is a function? Function is a relation between two sets of elements. So this is what you have. We have two sets of elements. What is set of elements? You can define whatever you want to define to be sets of elements. For example, all of you guys are making a set of my day class elements, right? So let's say all the students here, I have student A, student B, student C, all the students with their names. This is set of elements, okay? Everybody understand what is set of elements? You can define what to be set of elements. Let's say I decide my set of elements could be all the numbers from 1 to 5. The set of elements could be all the days in the month of May, right? That's May 1st, May 2nd, all the way to the end, right? Set of elements. You decide what that could be. The set of elements could be all my favorite colors. Set of elements could be all the possible pets. Set of elements could be whatever you decide to be, okay? So you have set of elements. You're working with that set of elements. You're doing something. Let's say I'm grading your quiz 2. So what I'm doing with all of you guys, I'm grading your quiz 2. So everybody are gonna, when I grade, the student says quiz, what I'm gonna get? Grade, right? Let's say the student A gets 92. Student B gets, what student B gets? 95, right? And student C gets 100. So that's what happened. I'm grading your quiz 2, and I get another set of elements which represent the grades in this case, right? Okay? Everybody follow me? So the relation between those two sets of elements is called a function. The element you start with is called domain. The set of elements is domain. So you start with something, that's the domain of the function. Then you're doing something with each element, and you get another set which is called the range of the function. So you have domain, you have the range, and what you're doing with each element is the function. So the action is actually the function. And you can do many different things. You can add, multiply, all the operations, okay? Great, whatever you decide to do, okay? So whatever you're doing is the function, and this is the notation. If you see f of x, g of x, we saw this last week, right? Like this, f of x. So f of x, g of x, that means you have a function. F, look at this, like f is the name of the function, and of x means you have a function. So all those two letters, they go together. F of x go together. You don't do anything with f and x. You don't do operation. You don't multiply. You don't do anything. This here goes together and tells you you have a function. Okay? So the function is f of x. This is the function. So function is a relation between two sets of elements, and whatever you do it only once. So you're doing only once the operation. That's important. So for each element from the domain, you get only one element in the range. Okay? Domain usually is represented with the letter X, and the range is represented with the letter Y. Okay? So that's what the relation between fx is, the relation between x and y. Okay? So everybody get the idea what is that about, or kind of?
Yes.
Okay? So now there are different ways to represent the function. The function could be represented with a little table, like you have a little table and you have x, you have y, and here you have the elements. Let's say my domain is 1, 2, and 3, and the range, the y, is going to be 1, 4, and 9. Okay, so this is function which is represented with a table. Can you tell me what my function is doing? What I'm doing with each number with x, from x. When I have one is x is, yes, thank you, good job. It's a square in each number, right? If x is 1, I square 1 times 1, give me 1, which is the y. 2 square give me 4. 3 square give me 9, yes? So my function here is a square in each number, okay? And this is the way to represent that function in the table form. Now, another way to represent the function is by equation. I can write f of x equals 2x. What that means? I'm multiplying each number from the domain by 2, right? Or let's pick another number. Let's say 5x. So f of x equals 5x. What that means? My function is going to multiply whatever my number in x is, whatever the number in the domain is, I'm multiplying it by 5. Okay? Make sense? And that's what I told you last week. F of x is technically y. So if you see f of x is the same like y equals f of x, because the result is the range, which is the y. Yes? Everybody get that? And then there's another way to represent the function, that's with the graph. So I can graph it because you have x and y. And last week we graph a point, we graph a line, right? So you can graph it if you have x and y, if you have points, you can graph them. So the graph of the function could be, let's say this is my graph. Okay? So you have the x-axis, you have the y-axis, and you can graph it. That's a third way of representing the function. So a function is a relation between two sets of elements. The first set is domain, the result is the range. Whatever you do it, you have to do it only once. You can represent the function with a table, with an equation, and with a graph. Okay? So now, how you know if a table is a function, equation is a function, or graph is a function? Because function is a relation of two sets of elements, and whatever you do, you need to do it only once. So that's important. F of x, it's action you're doing only once. So you're doing it only once for each element, right? If you do it 2 times, it's not a function. So for example, if I have my function with the here domain and all the students, and I'm grading quiz 2, this example I'm talking about, and I'm getting the grade. So if student A get 92, student B get 95, student C get 100, and let's say student A get another grade, that means it's not a function. It have to be only one grade. Make sense? Okay, so what's happened? How you know if a function, something is a function or not? If a table is a function or equation is a function. So here I'm going to give you the rules for that. So if in a table you have repeating x's, it's not a function. Okay? So I'm going to give you more examples here, and I'm going to move that so I can have more room. And that way you can have all these examples. So I'm going to give you examples, and you're going to check if something is a function or not a function. So if I give you a table and I ask you, is that a function or not? Let's see how you're going to find out. So I'm going to give you another table. So let's say I have students. Student A get 56. Student B get 75. Student A get 93. And student C get 75. So is that a function or not a function? What do you think?
Not a function.
Not a function. Why is not a function?
You have repeating numbers or repeating x's.
Repeating x's, that's right. Because I have A and A. That means student A gets 56, student A gets 93. You have two different grades for the same student, right? For the same assignment. So that's not a function. So this is not a function, right? Okay, everybody understand when is not a function? If you have repeating x's. Everybody get that? Yes?
Yes.
So yes, okay. So let's check equation of function. So equation of function, when you have equation of function, equation it's a function when you have no y squared and when you have no absolute value of y. Because y squared is going to give you two values for y, and absolute value of y is going to give you also two values for y. That means it's going to give you two elements in the range. Okay, so those two functions are going to give you not a function. So everything else, it's okay. You can have a function. So I'm going to give you a few equations and you tell me, is it a function or not? So the first equation is, let's say, 3y plus square root of x equals 7. Is that equation a function or not? What do you think? Is it function or not a function?
Is it not a function because of the square root of x?
Okay, did I say something about square root of x?
Well, the rule that you put above it, it says no y square root.
No, y squared. So this is
Oh,
y
that's square.
squared. Yes. So do you have y squared? No.
No,
Do you have absolute value of y with vertical lines? No, right? You have square root of x. Okay? So this is a function. This is yes. Okay? It's a function. Okay? Let's do another one. Let's do f of x equals x squared minus absolute value of x plus 5, for example. Is that a function or not a function? What do you guys think?
It's a function.
It's a function, yes. It's a function because you have no y squared and you have no absolute value of y. You have absolute value of x, but not absolute value of y. So yes, this is a function. Okay, let's do another one. So let's say I have x squared plus y squared equals 4. Is that a function?
no,
No, y is not a function?
y square.
That's right, because you have y squared. That's why it's not a function. And this, by the way, it's equation of circle. Okay, but it's not a function. Okay, because of the y square. You have the y square and that's why it's not a function. Everybody understand that? Yes? Okay, let's look. We have a few equations here to check. Number one, determine whatever the following equation it's a function or not a function. So this is the equation given here. Absolute value of y minus 5x equals 0. What is it? Is it a function or not a function?
Not a function.
It's
Not
not.
a function, that's right. Yes, it's not. It's not because we have the y, the absolute value of y, right? Because of this. Okay? So everybody understand how to check it, if it's a function or not?
Yes.
Yes, and then you have equate. No, you don't have more here. Okay, in the actual assignments, you're gonna have a little more. Let's move that a little down. Okay, so that's how you check if equation is a function. And then let's talk about graphs. So if you have a graph, we're checking if the graph is a function if you're doing the vertical line test. It's called vertical line test. And that vertical line test is you have imaginary vertical line and you're moving it left to right, and you see how many times your imaginary vertical line is crossing the graph. If you cross once, it's a function. If you cross more than once, it's not a function. So that's the rule. The vertical line crosses once, it's a function. Okay? If your vertical line crosses more than once, it's not a function. Make sense? So this one, the one I have over here, this is the graph actually. Is it a function or not a function? What do you think? This is the graph.
It's crossing 3 times, so therefore it's not.
No. You have each line cross once.
Okay.
So each vertical line. So the first line, this one, how many times?
Once.
Once. Okay, the next line, how many times?
Once.
Once. Okay? So every line, I can have more than one line. I mean, you can just move it left to right to see how many times, right? So
Right.
each line has to cross once. Let's say each vertical line crosses once. Make sense? So what is that, function or not a function?
It's a function.
It is a function.
Yes, it's a function. Good job. So this is yes. Okay, let me give you another. We talk about the equation of circle, right? So let's see, or let's do this one. So I have my x and y here, x-axis, y-axis, and let's say this graph. So this is my graph, right? So what is this about? Is it a function or not a function? You have vertical line. How many times?
Twice.
Once.
Twice. Okay. So if you have at least one vertical line which crosses twice, what is it?
Not a function.
Not a function. That's right. Okay. So everybody understand when it's function, when it's not? Yes.
Yes.
And then you have another one here in number 4. So looking at this circle or ellipse, so is it a function or not a function?
Not a function.
Not a function, because if I have vertical line here, it's gonna cross 2 times, right? So that's why it's not a function. Everybody understand that? And you're gonna pick this one. Okay? Any questions? So this is how you know if something is a function or not a function. Okay? So now let's see what else we have to do. We have to, so you know if it's a function or not a function. So you know any equation, you can check if it's function or not a function. You know any graph if it's a function or not a function. And now we're going to start working with the domain, finding the domain of function. And domain is x. Okay, so finding the domain. So this is what the question is about. Find the domain. Finding the domain is the same like finding the restrictions. Remember, in week 1, we talk about restrictions. So what kind of restrictions you know? You know restrictions and fraction, right? Yes? So there are only 2 restrictions we're going to talk about. So the restrictions are they're for fraction and for square root. Okay? Fraction, when you have fraction, where the restriction is from? Why you have restrictions in fractions? Do you remember? We talk about that in week 1. Do you guys remember when you find restrictions in fractions, what you do?
When you find the restriction
What
in
you
a
do?
fraction, it's
Yes.
basically you find a number that would add or subtract to become 0. That's my
0, that's
understanding, at
right.
least.
Where? 0 where?
In the denominator.
Good job. That's right. So if you have 0 in the denominator, that's restriction. You cannot have that, right? Everybody remember that? So for fraction, you have to make sure that the bottom is not 0, right? You have numerator over denominator. So the restriction is denominator is not 0. Yes? Why you have that restriction? Because you cannot divide by 0. That's where the restrictions come from for the fraction. The denominator is not 0. Okay? Now, what is the restriction on square root? Square root of
Oh, I
something.
thought you were asking.
Yes? So when you have square root,
No, I thought.
so what square root means? Can you take square root of anything?
No, you cannot say a square root of a negative number, I think.
That's right. Good job. Square root of negative is not real. Yes. So when you have square root of x, I'm going to put x. X have to be greater or equal 0. Because have to be positive. That's what positive number means. Greater or equal 0. Okay? Everybody understand that?
Yes.
So that's how you find the restrictions. Or that's how you find the domain. It's the same like finding the restrictions. So finding the domain, finding the restrictions is the same. So if you have fraction, you're going to work with the bottom of the fraction. Make sure the bottom is not 0. When you have square root, you're going to work with what is inside the square root have to be greater or equal 0. If you have no fraction, no square root, there are no restrictions. So these are the only 2 restrictions we have. Okay? Everybody understand that? That's the only 2 restrictions on the domain. So, how you do that? Finding the domain is the keyword here. We have this function given. This is my function. Negative 9x plus 9 is my function. So how are you going to find the domain? Do we have fraction? Is the function have fraction?
It does not.
No, no fraction. Okay. Do the function have square root?
No.
No fraction, no square root. So what that means? No restrictions, right? If you have no restrictions, that means domain is all real numbers. And this is how you're going to put it. It's going to be the domain is going to be parentheses, negative infinity, comma, infinity, like that. And I'm going to show you how to put that in WebAssign. So I'm going to share that WebAssign. I'm going to go to WebAssign and show you how to enter it. So here in WebAssign, we have number 6. And in number 6, you have to find the domain of this function, negative 2x plus 1. Again, no function, no fraction, no restrictions. So finding the domain of function of this, you have no fraction, no restriction means all real numbers. So you have to enter negative infinity, infinity, like that. And this is how you enter it. So when I click inside the answer box, you're going to see this math path in the side. Okay? And you're going to click at sets. And the sets is going to have parentheses. And then you're going to go to symbols. You're going to put the infinity symbol there. Okay? But first you're going to put negative. And then you're going to click infinity, comma, infinity again. Make sense? And that's what you're going to enter. Everybody see that? So one more time, when you're inside the answer box, you're going to see the math path in the side. This here. So when you click at sets, it's going to give you the parentheses. And in the sets also you have brackets, parentheses, parentheses, brackets, all the different combinations. When you find the domain of fraction, I'll show you, you're going to use one of those two, okay? But right now we're using for all real numbers, we're using parentheses, parentheses. And you can put that in the keyboard also, but you have it also in sets. And then when you click at symbols, you're going to see the infinity symbol is there. Okay? Everybody understand that?
Yes.
Okay, and then you're just going to submit it. And that's how you find the domain. If you have no restriction, you're going to put negative infinity, infinity. Now, when you have a fraction or square root, you're going to have restrictions, right? So let's do when you have square root. So when you have square root, you need to work with what is inside, right? So everything inside has to be greater or equal 0, right? That's what it says here. So I'm going to take 4x plus 5 has to be greater or equal 0 using the same symbol, always greater or equal 0. Okay? When it's fraction, it's going to be not equal 0. And then you're going to solve that. You're going to subtract 5 in both sides. You're solving it like equation, the same way. Move the 5 and get x by itself. So you're going to get 4x. Instead of equal, you have greater or equal. 0 minus 5 is negative 5. And then you're going to divide by 4 both sides. Now, when you divide, the rule here is when you divide, if you divide by a negative number, you're going to flip the sign, but here you're dividing by positive 4. So it's going to stay like that. So we get x is greater or equal negative 5 over 4. You can just leave it like that. And that's the domain. Now, how you write that interval notation? That's what it says here. Use interval notation. And it says find the domain. That's the keyword, find the domain. The interval notation is like if you look at the solution x is greater or equal negative 5 over 4, that means if I have it in the number line, let's say negative 5 over 4 is here, x is greater than is to the right side, yes, like that. And greater or equal means you're using bracket. That means you're including the number. So from negative 5/4 all the way going to infinity, infinity is always with parentheses. So let me explain how the rules go. So in this case, you're going to write the domain is going to be bracket negative 5/4, comma, infinity with parentheses. So this is how you're going to put your answer. Now, let me explain what are the rules for parentheses and brackets. So if you have greater or equal, or you have less or equal, if you have equal symbol, you're going to use brackets. Okay? If you have greater or less, you're using parentheses. If you don't have equals, it's parentheses. And negative infinity and infinity is always with parentheses. So these are the rules. So if you include the number, you use bracket. If you don't include the number, you use in parentheses. And obviously infinity and negative infinity means you never reach that number. That's why it's parentheses. Okay? So that's how you put the answer. Bracket and then parentheses. And I'm going to show you how to enter that also on WebAssign. And that's where we finish the notes. So let's go ahead and do this one. So for number 7, let's say I want to put brackets. So I'm going to go to sets. And I'm going to use bracket and then parentheses. I'm using this one. And you can also use the bracket and parentheses in the keyboard. Okay? And then I'm going to use the same numbers. Negative 5/4. And then make sure you get out of the fraction and then put comma. And then symbols, you're going to include the infinity symbol. And then you're going to use parentheses. Oops. See, be careful here. You have to make sure you don't have extra stuff. So always the best way to do it is use the sets. Use the parentheses and the brackets in the sets. Okay? So that's how you do that. Any questions? I mean, this one is going to be a different number. So it's not a 5/4. It's going to be different. But everybody understand how to solve this? Okay, then let's go ahead and do fractions. So when you have the next one, it's number 8, you have to find the domain and using interval notation. So when it's a fraction, you're going to take the bottom of the fraction, which is x minus 6, not equal 0. That's what you're doing, not equal 0. And then not equal 0 means you're going to solve it the same way. You're going to add 6, get x by itself, plus 6 plus 6. And your domain is going to be x not equal 6. So how you write that? X is not 6 means you have your number line from negative infinity to positive infinity. And let's say you have a 6 somewhere. So x is before, before 6 and after 6, right? But not equal 6. So that means you're going to use parentheses here. So the domain is going to be from negative infinity to 6 with parentheses, and then from 6 to infinity. That's how you exclude the 6. You're not including 6, excluding it, okay? And this is how you enter your domain. So I'm going to show you parentheses. So I'm going to go here. In the answer box, I'm going to go to sets, and I'm going to use the parentheses first. So I'm going to put negative, and the symbols are going to give me infinity, comma 6, and then I need to close the parentheses. And then after that, you're going to use the union symbol, means also. So when I go to sets, this is the union symbol. Everybody see that union symbol? It's like a U shape, but it's in sets. Okay? And then you have parentheses again, 6, comma, and I need to go to symbols to put infinity symbol and then close it. Okay? Any questions on this? And we can double check that. Okay?
I have a question.
Yes.
Is it always, with this kind of fraction, is it always going to be the bottom number where we try to find the domain?
Yes, always. Yes. Thank you for asking that. Always, when you have a fraction, you always work with the bottom of the fraction. See over here, I put it here. Let me show you. Oops, here. See the restrictions. If it's fraction, you always work with the bottom only. Only this, denominator. Doesn't matter what is in the top. If you have square root, you work only what is inside the square root. Okay? And these are the signs. If it's fraction, the bottom not equal 0, always. If it's square root, everything inside the square root always greater or equal 0. Okay? Everybody get that? Any questions? So after you know what is function, what is domain of function, how to find domain, we're going to continue working with functions now. So what you're doing with functions, we're going to evaluate function, and also we're going to do algebra functions. We're going to do adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing two functions. So we're going to work with more than one functions, okay? So first we're going to start with evaluating function. So how you evaluate function? So we're going to have given a function. So number 5, it says, let the function f be defined like this. So f of x equals, so this is your function. It's a fraction, right? So the function is 8 over x minus 8. That's my function. And what you need to do, you need to find f of 2, f of negative 3, f of k plus k squared minus 1. So we're going to evaluate all these different values for x. And what that means, you're going to just plug it in. The number here is going to replace the x. Then the next number is going to replace the x again. Okay? So that's all what you're doing. Evaluate. See, the next one is also evaluate something. So this is evaluating function. Plug it in number for x. Make sense? So it's really easy to do. So you're just going to follow the function. So first I'm going to do f of 2. So for f of 2, my function is 8 over x minus 8. And in the place of x, I'm going to put my number, which is 2, right? These numbers replace x. Yes? And then you're going to simplify. How you simplify? You can put it like that in your calculator. So you can put 8 over 2 minus 8. And it's going to simplify and reduce. Oh, sorry. So we're going to go here. And you're going to do fraction. So fraction. And then we're going to have 8 over 2 minus 8. Oops. In the bottom. 2 minus 8. Like that. Okay, everybody see that? So just enter it exactly like that in your calculator and it's going to simplify it for you. So always remember I told you use fraction. Negative 4 over 3. So that's my answer. Negative 4 over 3. And that's what you're going to put in the answer box. So I'm going to put negative 4 divided by 3 like that. Okay? Everybody good with that so far? So let's do the next one. F of negative 3. I'm going to write it here. F of negative 3 is following the same function. And in the place of x, I'm going to put negative 3 and then minus 8 in the bottom. So you're doing the same. But instead of 2, I'm going to change this 2 to negative 3. And then the calculator is going to give me my answer, which is negative 8 over 11. So you plug it in and whatever you get. Okay? And then the next one is f of k. So here we don't have number, so we're not going to use the calculator. We're just going to rewrite the function. And instead of x, you're going to change it to k. So my answer is going to be 8 over k minus 8. That's your answer. Just replace x with k. Okay? So far, so good? I'm going to put it like that. Okay? So let's do the next one. The next one also, you don't have x, you don't have number, you have k squared minus 1. So all this is going to go in the place of x. So we're going to get 8 over my x is going to be k squared minus 1. That's the x minus 8. So you're following the same function, just replacing x with whatever is given in the parentheses after f. Okay? And then you can simplify this. It says simplify your answer. How you simplify? You're just gonna add the two numbers, -1 minus 8. You're just gonna combine those two numbers. So it's gonna be 8 over k squared minus 9, because -1 minus 8 is -9. And that's what you're gonna put in the answer box. Okay? And I can show you how to do that in WebAssign. So let me show you here. Let's say I want to do like these two questions are the same. Number 9 and number 10 are the same. So I'm going to show you how to do the fraction one you're doing. So if I want to do this one, the last one I'm showing you, I'm going to have 3. So this is the function I'm going to follow now. So my answer in the last one is going to be 3 over. In the place of x, I'm going to put k squared minus 1. That's the x. Minus 5. I'm following the function over here. Okay? And then what I'm doing, I'm just adding -1 minus 5 is going to be 3 over k squared minus 6. So this is going to be my answer. How you put that? When you go to the answer box, you're going to see the math path. Here you go. And the math path have fraction. So I'm going to click at the fraction. And then I'm going to put 3 in the top. And then in the bottom, I'm going to put k. And then this one down here is going to give me the square. And then I need to go down and then put -6. So you have to look exactly the way it is. Okay? Make sure you look exactly like the one you have in your paper. They have to be the same. And I can check it if you want to check that. Okay? Any questions? Yes? Any questions on this? Okay? Going to the next one, which is number 6, it says find the difference quotient. Difference quotient, it's a formula to find that. And the formula is given here. So if you watch the video, so this is exactly like number 11, see difference quotient. If you want to use the formula, this is watch it, and you can see how the formula works. The formula is f of x plus h minus f of x, everything over h. And you simplify all this, plug it in using this function here. Okay? But I'm going to show you a shortcut. So if you want to follow the formula, you can use that. But the shortcut is difference quotient for function like this, which is linear function. So the difference quotient is the same like the slope. So can you tell me what is the slope of 6x minus 7? Which number is the slope? We talked about that last week.
It's the
The number
6.
6.
It's the number 6. Yes, that's it. That's it. So if you need to find the difference quotient, you're just going to get the slope. That's all. You don't need to use the formula for this one. But if you want to see how the formula works, you can look at the example in the video and do it. Okay, then you're going to the next one, which is number 7. Everybody so far so good?
I have a
Can
question.
we see that one more time, please?
Yes. Which one?
Thank you. And
Mhm.
that's okay. Thank you.
Welcome. Somebody have question?
Yeah, I have a
Somebody else?
question.
Yes.
So, difference quotient is the same as slope. Just finding the
Yes.
slope, the number in front of x.
Yes.
And that's what you put in the answer box.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Welcome. Okay. Numbers. Anybody else? Some more questions or no? Okay, going to number 7. And number 7 is a word problem, and we have to read it to see what it is. So we have the concessionaire in at a football game pays a vendor $40 per game for selling hot dogs at $2.50 each. So I have to write the function or the equation that describes the income is the I during the game if the vendor sells X hot dogs. So the X represents how many hot dogs you're going to sell, right? So I have to write the equation. So here there is no formula, you just have to use the income. Just think about how you're going to calculate the income. Okay, so let's say you get that table in the football game and you're going to sell hot dog. And you're selling each hot dog $2.50. So how are you going to calculate the income? How much you're going to get? If each hot dog is $2.50 and you're selling X hot dogs, how much is the income?
We need to find out how many hot dogs they sold.
You sell X hot dogs.
Okay.
So 250x?
Yes, 250X, that's it. So 250X is how much is your income, right? But you also
Equals
have to
$40.
pay $40 per the game, for each game. So what you doing with that $40? Are you going to add it to the income or are you going to subtract it from the income?
Subtract it.
Subtract it, that's right. You're going to be minus 40 because you're paying. So that's your function. That's what you're going to put in the answer box. 2.50x minus 40. Okay, that's it. And then the next one, it says find the income if you sell 215 hot dogs. So what that means? That's going to be the x, right? The number
Yes.
of hot dogs is x. So we're just going to replace x with 215. So you have 2.50 times 215 minus 40, and that's going to give you the income. Everybody understanding that?
Yes.
So what you guys get? I get 497
450.
and 50, yes. That's right. So that's going to be the income. You're going to write it down here. Oops. Sorry. So the income is going to be 497 and 50 cents. You can just put 0.5 or 0.50, doesn't matter. Okay? Any questions on this? Okay. And then the next one, it's about algebra functions. So here we have two functions, function A, function G, and you're going to do different things with those two functions. Okay. So we have function F is, in this case, is 9x plus 3, and function G is 4x minus 7. So after the equal is your function. Okay. Find the following function in the domain. So this is what you need to find. It tells you what to find. We need to find f minus g of x. So here we don't do nothing with this f and g and x. It just tells you what to do. Okay? It's a functional notation, so technically you're going to subtract the function f minus the function g, and you're going to keep it with x. Everybody understand that? Yes?
Yes.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, so this is what you're doing. F minus g of x. So that tells you you're gonna subtract f minus g, and you're gonna keep it with x. See, if I look at number 9 the same way, you have function f and function g, two functions, they're two different functions, and you need to find f plus g of 6. So that means you're gonna add f and g, and you're gonna replace x with 6. Okay? So this here tells you what to do.
Okay.
Okay? And I'm gonna show you how to do it exactly. Okay? Let's just read the next, see what you have. Number 10, you also have f, which is x squared minus 8, that's f. And you have g, which is 7x minus 4, whatever is the function f, function g, they're given. And what you do, f times g of negative 5, right? So you're going to plug it in negative 5, and you're going to multiply function f, function g, okay? I know it sounds very abstract, like how you multiply functions, but it's really easy. I'll show in a minute, okay? So what you have given here, it just tells you what to do. See, the next one you have f divided by g and keep it with x, right? And this is the f given, and this is the g for 11. So each question have different f, different g, and also tells you what to do. Now, if you look at number 12, the same way, you have function f, which is x squared minus 3. Function g is 4x minus 3. You have two functions. And what you need to find, f minus g of negative 5. Okay? And now let me tell you how to do those. So if I have, let's start with 8. If I have f minus g of x, if it's with x, you're going to keep it with x. So you're going to just do copy and paste pretty much. Okay? So f minus g, so I'm going to copy, this is what you're doing. I'm going to copy f minus copy g and simplify. Okay? So what is f?
9x plus 3.
Yeah, so you're going to copy that. 9x plus 3. Copy and paste, right? What is g?
4x minus 7.
Okay, that's right. And then you're going to subtract. Now, if it's negative, look like that's why I put it like a little boxes, like it's in parentheses. So look it like in parentheses like this. Okay? So what you have 9x plus 3. You're going to distribute the negative, so it's going to be minus 4x. Minus and minus is plus 7. And then you're going to combine x and x. So what is 9x minus 4x is what? 5x, right?
5x.
And then you're going to do 3 plus 7. You add in 3 plus 7 is plus 10. So that's my answer. That's my function f minus g. So the function f minus g is 5x plus 10. Okay? Everybody understanding that? Any questions on this? How we get f minus g of x? So remember, if it's with x, you just keep it with x. Just copy and paste. And simplify whatever you get. Okay? So the answer for f minus g of x is another function. So when you subtract function minus function, adding function, subtracting, dividing, multiplying functions, you're going to get another function if it's with x here. Okay?
So how do we enter the answer in the where it
Just
says
like
domain?
that, 5x plus 10. That's your answer. Just put in the keyboard 5x plus 10. That's it. Okay? Now, what is the domain for this function? How you find the domain? What is the domain of 5x plus 10? You're looking for restrictions, right? Do you have square root?
No.
Do you have fraction?
No.
No.
So you have no fraction, no square root, right?
Hmm.
What that means?
No restrictions.
No restrictions, that's right. And no restrictions means negative infinity, infinity, yes?
Yes.
That's your domain. So the domain is going to be parentheses negative infinity, infinity. Everybody understand that?
Yep.
I'm going to write here no fraction, no square root, no restrictions. So domain is all real numbers, minus infinity, infinity. Okay, good job. Now, any questions so far? Okay, we're going to number 8. So number 8, we have function f, function g, and we have to do f plus g of 6. So that means I have to replace x with 6. So what you can do here, we can do it two ways. We can plug it in 6 first, in f and in g, and then add the numbers you get. Or you can do f plus g first and then plug it in 6. I think the first way works faster, so I'm going to do the first way. So I'm going to take f of 6 first. I'm going to see what is f of 6. Then I'm going to do g of 6. And then I'm going to add those two numbers, right? So what is f of 6? I'm going to follow the function f, which is x squared minus 7. And I'm going to put 6 in the place of x, right? You plug it in 6. And then the other function g is 2 times x minus 5. And I'm replacing x with 6 again. And put it in parentheses. Okay? Always, if you plug a number, use parentheses. Always. It's easier that way. Now, you can put it in the calculator or you can just do it in your head. 6 times 6 is 36. What is 36 minus 7? 29, right? Then you're doing the next one. 2 times 6 is 12. Minus 5 is, what is 12 minus 5?
7.
7.
7. And then what you doing with those two numbers? You're going to add those two numbers, right? Because it says f plus g. So you add in 29 plus 7 is 36. And that's my answer. So my answer is 36. So when you have algebra function f plus f minus f times of number, the answer is going to be a number. If you have f minus g, f plus g, whatever it is of x, the answer is going to be expression with x. Make sense? It's going to be a function with x. Okay? Everybody good so far?
Yeah.
So sounds complex, algebra functions, but it's really simple, right? Okay, let's do some more. Number 10. Okay, let's just move it a little up. So number 10, what we have? What you need to do? We need to do f times g of negative 5, right? So I have to plug it in negative 5. So I'm going to do f of negative 5 first. And then I'm going to do g of negative 5. So I'm following the function f. Function f is x squared minus 8. And function g is 7x minus 4. And then in the place of x, I'm going to put what? Negative 5, right? Okay? So plug it in f, plug it in g. So let's see, f, what is negative 5? Negative 5 is 25. Positive 25 minus 8. What is that?
Negative 33.
25 minus 8.
17.
17.
That's right. 17. And then you have 7 times negative 5 is negative 35. And then minus 4. What is that? Negative. You add in
Negative
them?
39.
39. That's right. So now what you doing with those two numbers?
Multiply.
Going to multiply 17 times negative 39. So the answer is negative because positive times negative is negative. And 39, oops, hold on. What is that? 663?
Yes, negative 663.
Yes, that's your answer, negative 663. When you multiply 17 times negative 39, it's going to be negative 663. Okay, everybody good? Any questions? So that's how you do the one when you plug a number. And then for number 11, we have another one where we're going to keep it with x. Okay, so here we're going to do what? Copy paste, right? So what you need to do with the two functions, we're going to do f divided by g, right? So you're going to put f, copy f over copy g. So what is f? 3x plus 8. You just copy that. And then in the bottom is g, which is 4x minus 4. And that's your answer. You copy f over copy g because you have division. And fraction means division, right? Okay? That's your answer. Now, how you find the domain? You need to find the domain also. How you find domain?
You find the restrictions of x on the denominator. So we're just
Good
going to work with
job,
the
good
denominator.
job. Yes. Yes, you take the denominator, which is 4x minus 4, and you solve it not equal 0, right? And let me delete. Oops. Just want to delete this. Okay, and then how you solve that?
Add 4 to both sides.
Yes, you're going to add 4 in both sides. And you're going to get
4x does not equal 4. And then
yes,
divide.
4x is not equal 4. Yes,
And then
divide by
divide by
4, that's
4.
right. And what you get, x not equal?
1.
Yes, x is not 1, good job. Now, how you write that with intervals? X is not 1 means from negative infinity,
Infinity
1, union 1
1
to infinity.
infinity.
Yes. So this is what you're going to enter. This is your domain. Okay? And this is the answer for the domain. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
So, for example, number 10, is it possible that it asks you to find its domain even though you find a number?
No. If it doesn't have x, doesn't have domain.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Yeah, that's a good observation. Yeah. If you need to find f algebra function and you plug in number for x, then there's no domain because the answer is not a function. The answer is just a number. Okay? Okay, any other questions? Okay, so let's do number 12. And in number 12, we have f minus g of negative 5. So what you're doing here, you plug in number or you copy and paste?
Pretty much copy and paste.
You copy and paste if you have it to text. So here you have,
You're filling.
you
Yeah,
fill
filling
in
in.
a number. Yes,
Yeah.
so you're going to put negative 5 in f, negative 5 in g. So that's what you're doing. So you have f of negative 5 and g of negative 5. You're going to plug it in both of the functions, right? And then you're going to copy the function and plug it in. So the first function f was x squared minus 3. And then the function g is 4x minus 3. So this is how you plug number. You copy the function, but you put parentheses for x. And then inside the parentheses, you put whatever number they give you. In this case, they give me -5. Okay? And then you're going to simplify. So -5 is 25 minus 3. 25
22.
minus 3 is 22.
22.
Yes. Yes. And then 4 times negative is -20. Minus 3 is,
17.
no, both of those are negative, so you're adding them. -20.
23.
Yes. Yes. So now what you need to do, you need to do f minus g, right? So we're going to have, I'm going to write it here. 22 minus -23. What is that? Negative and negative make positive, so it's going to be 22 plus 23. It's 45. Okay? Any questions? Any questions on this? No? Okay, so that's how you do algebra functions, adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing functions. Looks complicated, but it's not. You just have to see what they're asking you. So you don't do not use -5, you don't do multiply, nothing, just plug that number in. Always remember you plug it in, okay? So if you have given a number, yeah, you plug it in, okay? If you have x, then you copy and paste. So if it's x, you copy f over copy g. If you have number, you plug it in, okay? So remember that. Plug it in or copy and paste. So if it's x, you copy and paste. Okay? Everybody understanding this?
Yeah, so basically, if you have x, it will ask you to find its domain.
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct. So if you have x, it's going to ask you for the domain. If you have a number, the answer is number. Okay? So then we're going to go to the last part of this week 3. It's about quadratic function. Quadratic function, we're going to talk about the graph of quadratic function. And here I'm going to go to my formula sheet. And these are the equations of parabola. So this is the formula sheet I shared the first week of school, of class. And this is the equation of parabola. So I'm going to move that down here so I can have more room to write down. Okay, so here we have equation of parabola. Equation of parabola. Parabola is the name of the quadratic function, the graph. So if you have a linear equation, the graph is a straight line. So if you have quadratic function, the graph is a parabola. Make sense? And for quadratic functions, there are two equations, the same way like linear. See, linear have, let me show you here what we did last week. See, equation of line, okay? Equation of line, you have slope-intercept form, which is this one, and you have standard form, which is this one, right? Two equations, two different forms, okay? And the equation of line, it's a linear equation, okay? Linear function have graph equation of have a line. Now, when it's a quadratic, it's called, the graph is called parabola, and we also have two equations, two types of equations. This is standard form, and this is slope-intercept form. I'm sorry, this is vertex form from the vertex. Now, let me show you how the parabola looks like. So the graph of quadratic looks like this, or looks like this. So this is the graph of parabola. This is the graph of quadratic function. So parabola is open up, it says here, if A is positive. So A is the number in front of the square. This is the A. And those two equations, again, you can go from one to another the same way you go from standard to slope-intercept, okay? So those are just two different forms. And what is important, both of those, they have square. Okay? So in front of the square, the number tells you if the parabola is open up or down. Okay? So if A is positive, it's positive number, the parabola is open up like this. Okay? If A is negative number, the parabola is open down. Okay? The graph looks like that. Make sense? So that's the rule. So let's go here. If I look at number 13, is the parabola open up or down? What is the number in front of the square?
It's up.
It's positive, it's open up, that's
Positive,
right.
yeah.
Yes. How about number 14? Is it open up or down?
It'll be down.
Down.
Down, yes, because it's negative 8, right? So that's why it's open down. They don't ask you that, but I'm just want to explain that. The next one, 15, is it open up or down?
Down.
Down, because it's a negative 3, right? Yes. Okay, then we have a little more here. Number 16, that's exactly what they're asking. Determine whenever the graph is open up or down.
Up.
Up, because this is positive, right? That's right. Okay. So is it maximum or minimum? Okay, this is the word problem. So how you know if it's maximum and minimum? So come in here. So you know if it's open up or down. Now what is the vertex? So the vertex, let's talk about vertex, is the point, the minimum point here or the maximum point here is the vertex. Okay, so that's your vertex. And the vertex, this is the point here, vertex, could be minimum. If it's open up, it's minimum, the vertex is the minimum point. And if it's open down, the vertex is what? Is the maximum point, right? Because the vertex is exactly this point here or this point here. Okay? It's like the peak point. Everybody understand that? So if I look at my number 16, it says, given is the equation, quadratic function, is it open up or down? We already know it's open up, right? So if it's open up, it's going to look like this, right?
Yes.
Let me make it better. So the graph looks like this. So this is your vertex. State wherever the maximum or minimum point occurred the vertex, right? So this is the vertex.
So it'd be the minimum.
It's going to be the minimum, yes. Everybody understanding that?
Yes.
So the first number in front of the square is going to tell you if it's open up or down and also if it's maximum or minimum. Got it?
Yes.
Okay, so now we're going to see how to find the vertex. So finding exactly the vertex, finding exactly what is the point of minimum or maximum, it depends what type of equation you have. So if your equation is given in this form, in the vertex form, the first one. So this is my first equation, and this is my second equation. So if the equation looks like parentheses square and number in the end, it's easier, the first form, it's easier to find the vertex because the vertex is the opposite of the number inside and the number in the end. That's your vertex. So it's because this negative is opposite of the inside and the same number in the end. That's your vertex, H and K. You see that? Okay. So let's see which given equation looks like formula 1. So you look at 13, 14, and 15. Which one looks like number 1?
13.
13 is formula 1. That's right. How about 14? Is it 1 or 2? How about 15?
It's 2.
2. And this is also 14 is 1 or 2? 2, okay. So if I look at number 1, it's easier to find a vertex, correct? Because finding the vertex at number 1, if you have equation 1, is going to be get the opposite of the number inside and the same number in the end, and that's your vertex. So I'm just going to look at this number, and that's my vertex. So let's see what are the numbers there. So what is the number inside?
-2.
And then what is the number in the end?
6.
6. So my vertex is going to be opposite of -2. What is opposite of -2?
+2.
+2, and the same number is,
6.
and that's my vertex, 2 and 6. You don't do anything, just look at the two numbers, 2 and 6. Everybody get that?
Mhm.
Yes? Okay.
Yes.
Then the next one, I'm going to show you how to find the vertex using the formula. Now, the second equation requires a formula. See, if you have the second equation, you have x squared x a number, you're going to use a vertex formula now. And this is the formula. H and K. Okay? So formula, it's H equals -b/2a. So you're going to get a and b the same way you get in ABC in the quadratic formula from the equations. And you're going to put -b in the top, 2a in the bottom, and that's going to give you H, which is the first number in the vertex, right? And then K is going to be whatever number you find for H, plug it in, because f of H means plug it in. In the function, and that's going to give you K. Okay, so let me show you how that works now. So we're going to do it in number 14. So for number 14, what is my A?
-8.
-8, that's right. What is my B?
3.
Okay, let's look at the equation
Oh,
again.
I'm sorry, 0.
Yes, in front of x squared is A, in front of x is B, and the number by itself is C. Okay, so that's the same like quadratic formula. So what is B?
0.
0, that's right. And what is C?
3.
3. Yes, you don't need C in the formula, but I just want to write it down. So the vertex formula is H equals -b/2a. I'm writing the formula, right? And then I'm plugging the numbers. So we have negative, what is B?
0.
0. Over 2 times A, what is A? -8, right?
Negative.
Okay, and then you simplify. So you have 0 over 16, right? Negative cancel. 0 over 16 is what?
0.
0. So the first number is 0, yes? So my vertex is going to be 0, comma, and I need to find K. So finding K is taking the number I get for H and plug it in for X. So I'm going to follow my function given y equals is going to be -8. I'm going to put H here, square, plus 3. So I plug it in 0 for X, right? So what you get? -8 times 0 is 0, plus 3 is going to be 3. So my second number is 3. Okay? Everybody understand that? Yes? Okay? So that's how you do this. Let's do it one more time. For number 15, we're doing the same. So for 15, we're going to use the formula because this is the equation in form 2. So we're going to start with ABC. So what is A?
-3.
A is -3, that's right. What is B?
5.
5. And we don't need C, C7. Okay, so I'm going to follow the formula. H equals -B over 2A. So I'll plug it in. You have -B over 2A. So what is B? 5. And A is -3. So what that gives me? Negative over negative positive, 5 over 6, right? It's a fraction, but just keep it like that. So 5 over 6 is my first number, right? So the first number in the vertex is 5 over 6, comma. Now I need to find the second number. So how you find K? Is when I plug 5 over 6 in the place of X and X. Both of the X's are going to be replaced with 5 over 6. So I'm going to follow the function. So I have -3. I'm going to put my X here, square, plus 5. I'm going to put my X again, plus 7. And we have 5 over 6, right? Is the X. Okay? And then you're going to simplify this. And you can just use the calculator for that. So you can just plug it exactly the way it is. So I'm going to go to my symbol app and I'm going to plug it in there. So I have -3, parentheses, and I have 5 over 6, and then square. What was the other one? Plus 5 times 5 over 6, and then plus 7. So this is my equation, just replacing X with 5 over 6, and just enter it the way it is. And it's going to simplify it, and you're going to get the fraction, which is 109 over 12. Whatever you get. And this is my K. This is the second number for the vertex. I have 5 over 6, comma, 109 over 12. Whatever you get. Okay? Any questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
I'm a bit lost when it comes to plugging in the K, where it says K equals F and then to
Yes. Plug it in H, yes.
Yes.
So technically what you're doing, you're following the function. Whatever the function is given, following this function, copy that function, and whatever you see X, you put parentheses. So see you have negative, so K is equal -3. You put parentheses for X squared, plus 5. You put parentheses for X, plus 7. And then in the place of X, you're going to put whatever K is equal.
So if I understand that right, I just plug it in the equation and then in place of X, I put what I found in
Yes, that's
X,
right.
which was 5 over 6.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
So this number goes in the place of X. Yes.
All right.
Yes, that's correct. Yes. Okay. Any other questions? Let me write it better, 109. Any other questions? Everybody understand how to find the vertex? Okay. And then we have 2 more problems, which are word problems. And we're gonna solve those. So these are applications when you need to find the vertex. So technically finding maximum, see here you have to find the maximized area and stuff like that. Finding maximum and minimum is pretty much finding the vertex, okay? So when you have to find maximum and minimum for quadratic function, the maximum or minimum has a lot of applications, which is actually exactly finding the vertex, because the vertex is the point where you have maximum or minimum, depends what they're asking you, okay? So if the parabola is open up, if the quadratic is positive in front of the square, it's open up, so it's going to have minimum. If the quadratic function is open down, which means the number in front of the square is negative, is going to be a maximum, okay? So let's do number 17. Number 17, we have a rectangular flower bed. We have given, let's draw a little picture here. So we have a rectangular flower bed, has the width of x, and the perimeter is 168, right, feet. Find x, so the area is maximized. So we have area is maximum area, right? So here we have to use the formula for area, a formula for perimeter, right? So let's start. If the width is x, let's say the length is y, right? And let's see what is given. We have the perimeter given, yes? So what is the perimeter? What is the formula for perimeter if I have rectangular bed?
It'd be y plus y x. So what? Y squared plus x squared.
Okay, you're in the right track, but x plus x is not x squared. It's 2x. So it's going to be 2x, yes. Plus
2x.
y.
Yeah, 2x and 2y. Yeah, that's right.
Yes, that's correct. So I have 2x plus 2y, and they give me that 168, yes?
Yes.
So we're going to use this equation, and you're going to eliminate y to find only x. So now what is the area for this rectangle? What is the area? Formula for the area.
It'd be x times y.
Good job, x times y. Yes. So now in this formula x times y, we have a area like a formula with x and y. So what you're doing, you're going to solve this equation for y. You're going to get y by itself. And then you're going to replace the y here, and you're going to have the area only in terms of x. Okay? So that's how you're going to get the formula, the function for the area. And then that function, you're going to find the maximum of that function. Okay? So that's the idea. That's what you're going to do, because you have to find the maximum. You have to see the area have to be maximized. Okay? So we're going to start with solving this equation, the perimeter, get y by itself. So what you're doing to get y by itself in this equation?
You're going to subtract.
Yes, subtract 2x, yes. You're going to subtract 2x in both sides. So 2x cancel. So we have 2y equals 168 minus 2x, right? You don't combine them, you just copy those. And then what you're doing from here, you're going to divide by 2, right? To get y by itself. Everything divided by 2. So what we have, y equals 168 divided by 8 is what? 84?
84
Okay.
minus x.
Yes, so it's going to be 84 minus x. So this is y equals, right? Now this y equals is going to replace the y in the area formula. So the area become x times 84 minus x, yes?
Yes.
And then if I multiply the parentheses, I'm going to get the area. I'm going to put the x squared first. So it's going to be 84x minus x squared, right? So it's going to be minus x squared plus 84x. So looking at this, in front of the square is negative, right? That means the parabola is going to be open down like this, right?
Yes.
So where's the maximum? It's on the vertex, right? So what you need to do is take this area formula and find the vertex. So how you find the vertex of the area?
The option 2.
Yes. The option 2, that's right. So we're going to use the formula to find the vertex. So what is A?
-1.
A is -1, that's right. And what is B?
0.
B is in
84.
front of X.
B is 0.
B
No,
0.
B is in front of X.
B is 84.
Yes, B is 84, C is 0, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, so in front of X squared is A, in front of X is B, and the number with no X is C, okay? So I have A and B, and then you're going to use the formula, which is H equals negative B over 2A. And what is that? We have plug it in, right? So I have negative B 2 times A, and I'm going to put B is 84, and then 2 times -1. So what we get for the H? Positive 42, right?
42.
Yes. And what they're asking you here, find the X. So they're asking for the X coordinate of the vertex. So what is X? 42, that's right. Okay, so this is the X. Now, if they ask you what is the maximum area, then you have to find K, you have to plug it in. Okay, but they're not asking for that, they're asking to find the X. And find the X is technically H in the vertex. Okay? So that's how you do it. Any questions on this? Any questions? Everybody understand what to do?
I want to say yes. I just need to try it.
You need to try it. Yeah. Gonna have another one like this in the actual lab 3. Okay? Now here, if you look at this, technically what you did is dividing 168, you divided by 4. That's the shortcut, but this is how you do it actually. Okay? So let's go ahead and do the last one, which is number 18. And we have a wholesaler of appliances find that she can sell X 1,800 minus X flat screen TV sets each week when the price is X dollars. What price would maximize the revenue? So here we need to remember what are the formulas for revenue. So we have to find the maximum revenue, right? Maximize the revenue. So that means what is X? Because the price is X, right? So they're asking what is X? So you have maximum revenue. So technically they're asking for the vertex. They're asking what is H in the vertex. That's what they're asking you. Or let's write it like this. They're asking what is X? So you have maximized revenue. And that technically means what is H in the vertex. So you're going to have another quadratic function and you have to find H in the vertex. So let's see what is the function. We're talking about revenue, right? The formula for the revenue is price times quantity, right? I'm going to write it P times Q. So revenue is what you're selling, how many TV you're selling, times what is the price, right? So what is the price? The price is X. And the quantity, this is how many? 180, 1,800 minus X is the quantity. So this is the price. And this is the quantity, how many of those TVs you're going to sell. Everybody understand that? So looking at my function R, the revenue is X times 1,800 minus X. So when I multiply those two, I'm going to get quadratic function. So the revenue function is going to be, again, I'm going to put negative X squared in front plus 1,800X. So this is my revenue function. Now, how the function is open, up or down? How the graph looks like, up or down?
Down.
Down.
Is up and down, that's right. So finding the maximum is actually finding the vertex, right? So we're going to use the formula to find the vertex. So what is A? What is B? And the formula is negative B over 2A. So what is A?
-1.
Yes, -1. What is B?
1800.
1800.
Okay, 1800. And you're going to plug it in. So you have negative B over 2 times A. So A is -1 and B is 1800. And negative over negative, it's positive. 1800 divided by 2 is 900.
900.
Yes. So what that means? To get the maximum revenue, you should sell the TVs for $900, right? That's the price. Okay? Everybody understanding that? Any questions?
I just have a question. Where, because I
Yes.
don't remember learning about, other than this right here, I don't remember learning about revenue in the equation of
Yes, the
revenue.
revenue. Okay, what is revenue? Revenue is if you sell something, what you're gonna get, how much money you're gonna receive. So if you're selling, let's say I'm producing cell phones, and I'm selling those cell phones. Each cell phone is $100, and if I sell 5 of those, what's gonna be the revenue? 100 times 5, right? If I sell 5 phones. So that's the price you're selling, multiplied by the quantity, how many you're selling. Make sense? That's the revenue. And when you subtract the cost of producing, you're going to get the
Yeah,
profit.
that's okay. Yeah, I'm thinking it's missing. It's missing. The revenue is just one, but it's missing like the cost.
Yes, but you're not talking about profit. So this is what you have. Yes. So when you produce something, you have cost of producing it, right? So you have
Yes.
the cost to produce something. You have the revenue when you solve it. And you have the profit. So the profit is revenue minus cost. Okay? Everybody understand that? Yes? So
Yes.
here we're talking about only the revenue. And the revenue is how many you're going to sell multiplied by what is the unit price. How much? When you multiply those two, you're going to get the revenue. Okay? Any other questions? Okay, everybody good so far? Okay, so that's what you have for week